And we are recording. Good morning, everybody. My name is Jacob Snow, lead designer of Legends of Albion, bringing you Dragon Ridge podcast. Just me this time. Uh, Life has gone chaotic, mad, banana bonkers for everybody on the development team, so that's why this video is late, and that's why it's just me. Um, Today we are going to be talking about several things, one of which is the ranged rule, which was implemented mid-season last month, and we also are going to be talking about the new season, which season of the East, which is really cool. Season of the East was its development name. Is that how it? Guess so. Anyway, lots of big stuff been happening in Legends of Albion. Really excited to share it all with you. Uh, so let's just get into it. First thing we're going to talk about is the older news, which is implementation of the ranged rule. It's part of our eternal quest to make ranged attack not just flat better than melee combat, as happens a lot in fantasy games, as well as give me my charging cable, damn it. Happens a lot in fantasy games when ranged combatants are an option. They tend to dominate the meta. This happens in games such as Diablo, um, uh, and a lot of MMOs. You get to a certain point, and it's just, people are like, yeah, well, but I could play a ranged character who can do this a lot better without as much danger as if I was playing a melee character. Why aren't you charging? Regardless of all of that charging cable drama, the important thing is now we have the ranged rule. And the ranged rule doesn't really screw up anybody too majorly. But it does bring ranged combat into the place where if you're not playing the game properly, you're going to get penalized for it. The ranged rule states that any character using a weapon with a range of 3 or greater cannot make attacks if an enemy is adjacent. This essentially gives weapons an inside range. So let's say, I think it was a range of 2, no, 3 or greater. Let's say your character is using a longbow and a skeleton or something else sprints up to them and starts attacking them by landing in an adjacent space. By landing in this adjacent space, you're not really going to be able to focus on shooting your bow and arrow and making the combat happen, because you're having to focus on defending yourself. And bows don't really work that great in adjacency. I mean, you gotta take your time to line up your shots. So it's a balancing rule, and there is a possibility that down the line, if we discover this rule is too oppressive, we'll either repeal the rule or just implement a skill that, for people who are like, this is realistic, I like this, they can keep it, but if you don't like it, you can get the skill that allows you to make ranged attacks while enemies are adjacent to you. So, oh hey, we're finally charging. So that's the ranged rule summed up. It's a balancing decision, and it's one I stand by because it finally makes it feel like there are pros and cons to each type of character that you would want to play, such as, archers and spellcasters or fighters and knights. Now, they both have their own place in the hierarchy, instead of it being spellcasters are just better. Now we get to move on to the next topic, which is the new season, Season of the East, taking us to the beautiful, mysterious land of Amaris. This is our first 3rd edition interaction with the land of Amaris and the people of Amaris. The Amarans. In 2nd edition, you could play an Amaran character, but we still didn't ever really do anything with Amaris. And so this season is all about what it's like in the east of Albaden. Amaris is a mysterious land due to the fact that for the past, couple 1,000 years, they were living under the protection of a magical barrier. This barrier kept them safe from all outside influences, external culture, everything like that. And when pressed, their only opposition came from within, not from without. So this barrier, however, created problems for a villain who will be the primary focus for the second half of the season, and that villain is the Silk Merchant. And so, after over a century of trying, the Silk Merchant was finally able to destroy the barrier, thereby allowing her to escape Amaris and allowing other external forces to invade Amaris. Amaris has a lot of high threat shit, okay? The Amarans have been trucking with magic that's actually crazy, as well as artificery, which allows for some really cool stuff. To be done with, the items shop and also the monsters that you wind up fighting. Amaris, at the moment, the Season of the East has brought us 2 new classes, which is the Artificer and the Battle Mage, and has brought the Amaran as a playable race. We've got more content planned for next month because Season of the East is going to last 2 months. It started on February 15th and continues on until April 15th. So you're going to have plenty of time to enjoy all of the new content before it disappears. You're going to have plenty of time to get enough gold to buy the new seasonal exclusive items because they are cool. Especially the Honor Raiment. It's probably my favorite of the seasonal items because Honor Raiment boosts your playstyle depending on what kind of character you're playing. Alright, so we're going to deep dive a little bit more here into what's going on with this season. Magic and artificery are abundant in Amaris and his adventures. You will reap innumerable benefits from this land's technology. From new arcane weaponry to the Battle Mage and Artificer classes, Season of the East provides players with many unique tools perfectly suited for dealing with the many dangerous creatures that call Amaris home. And boy howdy are they dangerous. We're going to be seeing them, talking about some of them here in a few. So you can find the new classes, all of the information except for hold on a damn minute. Gotcha. Alright. Everything except for the classes will be... The classes and the races are the only part of this season that's staying after the season ends. Some of the Wandering Hero quests are going to be going away. The Silk Merchant is going to remain a prevalent threat, as are a couple of the Wandering Hero quests, but there is going to be a fair amount of content in this season that will not be moving forward. So first thing we're going to talk about, the new seasonal stuff, is the classes. The new classes, Battle Mage and Artificer, are really cool. One is a close range damage dealer, which utilizes some really unique effects. And the other is a sniper class, the first legitimate sniper class I've personally implemented, which is really exciting. Um, so we're gonna get into that now. Okay, starting off, we've got the Battle Mage. Battle mages are devotees of the path of Zalbarek. Zalbarek was a warrior from Amaris who had actually traveled the outside world somewhat before returning to Amaris, and during the time of his travels, he went to the Tower of Lightning, which we'll be getting into what that is in a future season. And Zalbarek learned that by combining magic with his martial arts that he was already extremely good at, he could make some crazy shit happen. And so, when he wrote down his teachings in the Book of the Path, battle mages learned from Zalbarek how to battle mage, which was really cool. So, devotees of the path of Zalbarek, battle mages of Amaris have learned to focus their arcane energy into their fists. While this leads to a sacrifice in range, they more than make up for it once they get close. Battle mages do not use weapons, instead depending on martial arts that were developed by Zalbarek to maximize the power of their magic in their strikes. By doing this, battle mages can strike swiftly and decisively, ending threats before they can endanger the battle mage's companions. Battle mage quirk. This is important. You cannot purchase or equip new weapons. Now, the reason for this is purely balance and a little bit of narrative fluff, because if you were able to do some of the things that the battle mage can do while also having insane bonuses, like for instance, you could run him as a ranged character with up close removal. You could do all sorts of crazy shit if you were able to get a different weapon. So, that's that. Battle Mage current stats for starting default is plus 3A, plus 4D, which means you're hitting on 3s, defending on 4s, for those of you who aren't familiar with the combat system. Which, that's actually really good. I mean, hitting on 3s as your default weapon kind of soothes the ache of not being able to purchase or equip a new one. And the Battle Mage ability is, well, abilities, because it's a single ability block, but it's a fair amount of content. Battle mages may gain power and arcane power, choosing which to gain when power is given. All ranged spells lose their range, and the damage from these spells is increased by 2. Which, that unto itself is really cool, so we're going to break that down a little bit. Firstly, power gain is up to the player. So, like, a smart player is going to break it up between skills and spells, because you can actually pull off some really crazy combos, which is really cool. So, first off, all ranged spells lose their range because of the way in which the Battle Mage does things. They're not channeling the magic and going release. They're channeling their magic and going. They're keeping the magic in their fist, which is why it increases the damage that's done by the spell by 2. Now, that unto itself is kind of crazy, because now you've got Lightning Bolts dealing 8 damage instead of 6. Arcane Missile is. Arcane Missile is doing 6 damage instead of 4. So that damage boost unto itself is pretty cool. But here's the thing. There are unique interactions which you can do with the Battle Mage. For instance, you could use Lightning Bolt and Radial Attack at the same time and just deal 8 damage to everyone that's adjacent to you. Cool interactions like that are really one of the things that I enjoy. And just in case those interactions are not clear, there will be patches made to make it clear that those interactions can be done. So the Battle Mage is probably one of my favorite classes I've designed uh, from both a narrative and a gameplay perspective, because they do interesting things with the gameplay and they do interesting things with the narrative. So I really enjoy that. So the second class is the Artificer. Masters of Machines and the application of Arcana Crystals. Arcana Crystals are something that's relatively unique to Amaris. It's just you take a gemstone and you charge it with magical energy. The gemstone contains the energy, and by designing things a certain way, if you chip the stone, the magical energy will be funneled in a specific direction, allowing you to essentially make a relatively limited use laser gun. Um, which is really cool. Um, Artificers dominate the battlefield with their long range attacks or with blustering assaults at mid range. That's right, because you can purchase different weapons. So different builds are possible with the Artificer, but we'll get to that in a moment. By using Arcana weaponry they design themselves, Artificers are not constrained by ammunition or by magical reserves like other ranged classes. That's only true of the default weapon. Artificers are not unstoppable, however. The crystals they use to power their arcane weapons are prone to overloading, which can result in fatal failure if not moderated properly. Artificer quirk can only use weapons with the Arcana keyword. Chances are better than average will patch that, because it would make sense if you're an Artificer using an Arcana keyword weapon. You wouldn't just be using it in stock configuration. You would have the crystal. You'd set it up yourself. So we can actually do that's fine. Now, Artificer ability. Double your attack speed if you are attacking an enemy that is in range 6 or less. Every roll of 1 while attacking deals 2 damage to the Artificer. If this damage vanquishes the Artificer, all units adjacent to the Artificer are vanquished as well. So essentially with the Artificer, there's a better than average chance you're going to blow yourself up, especially if you're going for the zany speed attack route. Because, like, say you're playing a Golden Elf. Golden Elves have an attack speed of 5, I believe. Yeah. Um, and so somebody's in range 5 of you, and I forgot to give the stat block. 4 plus to attack, 4 plus to defense, and range of 10. So now you're making 10 attacks, and let's say you haven't put anything into health enhancement, so you still just have the default 10 HP. You roll 4 ones out of 10 attacks, and so you take 8 damage. You're 2 hit points away from dying. And yeah, whatever you're after, chances are better than average. It's going to get pretty cooked as well. But it's a risk-reward system with the Artificer. Their long-range game is a lot stronger than their short-range game because of the risk involved. And as a player, if you're playing an Artificer, definitely put some skill points into damage reduction and extra hit points, because damage reduction reduces the damage you take. Now, granted, it's not true damage reduction, which is something we're going to be implementing later into the game, which I'm really looking forward to that, but we've got to test it first to make sure it doesn't go insane and just go, hey, game balance. But that's what that is. So the Artificer is long-range support and damage dealing, but they got to be careful not to blow themselves up, and bear in mind if they do blow up, and they're adjacent to like 2 members of your party, those members of your party are going to blow up too, which is damn unfortunate, especially if you're engaging in one of the seasonal activities, which we will be talking about in a different video, because promises were made, and I'm not going to steal the guy's thunder. Myself and Shalzir made a new raid for this season, which is the Vault of the Artificer. And like I said, we will be talking about that in a different video because it's his baby, and I'm not going to steal his thunder on that. But be sure to check out the new raid available in the seasonal events tab on the menu. It's a really good raid, 6 to 8 players. Play it on Tabletop Simulator if your area is still at risk for the virus. I don't want anyone getting sick on our account. Or as an additional option, you can just play 6 to 8 characters yourself and solo the raid if you want. I mean, it's kind of a lonely consolation prize unto itself. So now we get into seasonal items. Now, we're not going to talk about all of them because, simply put, it's a lot of shit. It's a lot of gear given out here, and we're going to be adding more next month. Around the 15th, we'll be adding new stuff to the seasonal item shop to reflect some of the events that were going to be revealed. Some of my favorite items include, but are not limited to, the Honor Blade. It counts as a legendary weapon. The cost is 3,000 gold. Its skills and keywords as True Strike 4 and -1 attack action from your next turn to re-roll a failed defense die. So basically, the Honor Blade can be used defensively as well as offensively. And with that re-roll, you can save your life at the cost of not being able to deal as much damage, or if you're unlucky enough, any damage in the next round. Very cool item, because it interacts with the gameplay in an interesting way. Another one of my favorite items is the Shadow Warrior's Gloves. It's another legendary weapon, 4+A, range 6, ammo type Shadow Knives. So it's essentially a ninja glove, but not. It's fun. Now, the fun thing about the Shadow Warrior's Gloves, however, is this weapon is unaffected by the range rule, as it just generates throwing knives. Anybody who's used throwing knives can tell you, if someone gets close, you just gotta flip it around, and then you're more than good to go in terms of melee combat. Granted, it's not an optimal ranged attack, but what are you going to do? Somebody's in your face. Next favorite item, currently on the item shop, is the Divider of Paradise. It is a mythic weapon. Comes in at 15,000 gold to purchase. It has 3+A and has a range of 2. And it has block 3, which means you can ignore 3 attacks per round while using this weapon. True Strike 6, which means it deals 6 damage per hit. And Shatter 10, which means if you take 10 damage from a single levy of attacks, your weapon is broken and you're going to have to buy a new one. I like it because it provides as much defensive options as armor. It gives you guaranteed 6 damage per hit, and there is a chance you'll lose it, which kind of makes you have to play a little more carefully, which is really cool. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this little podcast. I apologize again for its lateness. I'm going to be doing another one soon, so keep an eye out on our channel. Give us that like and subscribe. And if you have any questions regarding our content, regarding any rules, disputes, or anything like that, do not hesitate to comment on this video or to comment on our pages at our website at legendsofalbadon.com. We are always willing to answer questions about the game and about game balancing, and if it's something that we haven't thought of previously, we will thank you very much for helping us find another gap in the armor. That's all I've got for today, so until next we meet, may your journey continue. This has been Jacob Snow, signing out.